Hello, good morning. Happy Friday. Happy morning, Pages Live. How are you? I'm Nicola McKenna. I'm live here in Dublin, Ireland, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to a live session of our morning pages. It is FUN fun. Well, it's also boring and it's got plenty of ups and downs. Basically, what we do is a la The Artist's Way by the wonderful, gorgeous, fantastic Julia Cameron. We like to sit down and journal. We just do this once a week. We do it for a, a period of time rather than a period of number of pages. Okay. So Julia asks us for 3 pages. And over the years, I've developed a slight variation, and this is a 45-minute timed version. Okay, so what we do is at 6 minutes past the hour, wherever you are, we start a timer for 45 minutes and we write. We just get the hand moving and whatever comes out. A lot of the time it's squiggles, hieroglyphics, it could be words, it could be fragments. Whatever is coming out of you needs to come out. So I encourage you to do that. It's in safety, it's in privacy and confidence. We never share or show our writing pages to anyone, you know. So you'll notice that these came out today. Um, it was a poor night, low sleep, and often when we sit down to do pages or anything creative, um, there's a million reasons why we can't, shouldn't, won't. And one of them is often, in my case, it's often fatigue. Oh, I really don't feel like it. Just allergic. I've got so many things. I had a bad night. I'm like a bear. And guess what? If I do pages, I will feel less like a bear. And you know that too. All of us creative people know that we need our inner child to be heard and seen. And often the only place she can do that is out on a page where she can rant and rave and give out and curse and swear and wail. Say, it's not fair. You know, life doesn't allow us to do that in real life. So our child still needs to say that, ourselves. We still need to say that as adults sometimes. So let it out, especially on the bad days, especially when you're waking up tired and grumpy like I had this morning. But you notice what I did do this morning, and this really helps is, and we often do this when we're doing Artist Way workshops, is I would ask people to put on something maybe a little bit wild or a little bit out there. And this, for me, this is out there. It might be out there for you, but this is not my default style. Yeah. And we often try on different things to encourage our child out for a play. Come on, come on. You know you want to wear these. They're so much fun. And even that small act, it it feels like more fun. It feels like we're listening to our child, but also the adult in us goes, F you. There's a sense of rebellion there. So a lot of what we do in the Artist's Way is um, almost a quiet rebellion. It can be a loud rebellion, but most of us are happy with quiet rebellions. I certainly am. I'm a quiet rebeller until I find my voice, until I develop that, until I get louder and more confident in myself. So this is part of the reason why we do pages. So if it looks fairly quiet, but if you want to get your pen and paper ready, we will start shortly. As I say, we use a timer for this. And I'm just going to get myself ready if you want to get your pen and paper. I just use a cheap and cheerful kind of uh, refill pad, something that's really, expendable. And that might do me for, 2 or 3 months or whatever. And then I toss it. If there's something really valuable in it, I'll tend to go back over it and mine what I can, mine some kind of wisdom or insight into what's going on. And often it's kind of, long buried stuff, and that's what we do in the Artist's Way as well. Okay, it's 6 past the hour, friends. Are you ready? Get your trusty pen, and I will lower this down so you can see me writing high. I'm so asleep. I have to have the window open this morning. I'm so asleep. I will feel better after a little jot down. Okay, we ready? And go. 45 minutes of timed writing. Off we go. Enjoy. Now, where are we? Okay, today. we go. Our 45 minutes is up of free writing. Please take 7 minutes to go back over and review what you've written, highlight, underline. Okay, your 7 minutes starts now. Whether you've done a little or a lot, this is a good exercise. So we're looking for insights, discoveries, explorations. There we go. Oh, 7 minutes really flies, doesn't it? Okay. Take a moment. Sit with what you've done. Sit with what you've done. You've come here and spent a wee bit of time with yourself, with your soul tuned in. Just sit with this for a minute. Breathe in deeply if you can. Take a few deep breaths and tune into your body. What's that body saying? Is it resting? Is it settling? Tune into what your body is saying. Does it feel heavy or light? Tune into what your mind and heart is saying. Often the pages can reveal something that weighs us down a little bit. Our awareness of it, we pay for that awareness, don't we? So, okay, we take 3 deep breaths and we'll have a little chat if you like. Okay, so 3 deep breaths in for 4 through the nose, through the mouth. You know how to do it. Yeah, in through the nose. Hold it and out. In again. Out. And the last one. Hold. And out. Okay. All right. If you're free for a minute, I can talk. If you would like, I'm going to close this window now. Who do we have on? Hello, Mandakini. How are you? Better late than never. Yes, etc., etc. Yes, I hear you. Etc., etc. Close that one. That's better. That's better. Welcome, Mandakini. Welcome. How are you? You rushed out of the swimming pool on a sweltering day in Vienna. Oh my goodness, almost dripping on the page. Yeah. We drip all kinds of things onto the page, don't we? So glad for you. Glad to have you here, Mandakini. Yeah, I hear it's very, very hot on the continent. So my thoughts are with you. Hopefully it's bearable and everybody's in good health. And how were pages this morning? I'll tell you a little bit about what happened for me. Lots of things happened during the 45 minutes. It's at the 7-minute review that I've spotted a few nuggets, things that I wanted to extract out and either flesh out on the page, think about, or marinate in for a little while. And those things only kind of came to light during my 7 minutes. And what came out was really about resentment. And I asked the question up in the margin. I said, I resent this. What can I do about it? And then on the following page, there was like a mind map or whatever, and I just used a minute or two. Because if I don't give time to that resentment, it has the potential to bug me. Maybe today or maybe tomorrow, or maybe the next time I encounter the situation that caused the resentment. So it's really helpful even to give 30 seconds to that question. It might be a bit last minute, but even getting it on the page is just the notes, a couple of like really basic words, and say, okay, it's safe now. It's on the page. I can go about my business today without having to worry too much about it. The page is going nowhere. Nobody's going to be looking at the pages. So it's very important that that you can trust the paper to hold on to this stuff, and that we can trust ourselves to put it down in the first place, you know. And we do it imperfectly. We don't do it right or wrong. It just is, you know. And getting that sense of acceptance is a skill in itself, you know. Blood, sweat, and tears, when Dakini says. Ah, it's so funny. Yeah, blood, sweat, and tears. I hear you. Um, yeah, it's there's so much going on this week. There's so much going on in the news, and I was speaking to a brother yesterday, and he said, "Oh, there's so much going on in the news, and nothing's ever new on the news. Nothing ever changes. You know, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, there was always um, some terrible crisis, some terrible hunger, some awful war." And it struck me yesterday. Um, that I kind of absorb a lot of things that I see, you know, even if it's a fictional movie or a documentary, I would find myself absorbing a lot of the emotions or thoughts, and I would delve deeply into them afterwards, and I would marinate in them and sometimes go down a little rabbit hole. And I know that about myself. So you know, I kind of I wouldn't be an avid news watcher for that reason, because it's hard to come away from it without having absorbed the horrors. And I find I generally don't watch the news. You know, I will listen to the headlines on the radio, but that's about it. You know, I'd be interested to hear what your thoughts are, Mandakini, and anyone else on the call, whether or not news is something that you tune into and you pay attention to, or whether you're like myself and you might absorb it, especially kind of on more tired days. You know, I explained at the top of the call, Mandakini, that I had a poor night, and so I woke up cranky, and I'm all the more sensitive to, you know, bad news or crises or headlines that are, you know, attention grabbing. So it's good to build up this awareness of myself and say, okay, news is, you know, it doesn't do you much favors on the good days. It's really not going to do you any favors on the bad days. So anyway, Mandakini, do you dig the crazy earrings? These are crazy, crazy earrings. Um, so because I woke up cranky and irritated, I just needed to feel a little bit lighter. And sometimes these go on. It could be for me. It's always earrings. For some other people, I remember one artist way lady. She used to put on crazy red lipstick because it made her feel rebellious, it made her feel expressive, and in real life, she couldn't always be that rebellious, expressive person who wears red lipstick. So she would wear red lipstick for maybe the hour that we were doing our Artist Way workshop, and it's often helpful just to lift the form, you know. And I encourage you to do that either on these morning pages calls or on other occasions, you know. Small little things. And because they're small, other people in our lives don't really notice them, but we do. And therefore, the maybe critical voices that can come through from the world around us, they don't get much microphone time, they don't get much airtime. but it's a small little difference to us that we notice and makes us feel a little bit lighter. So, yeah, morning pages, Mundakini, are a way to write our own headlines. I insist. Please. Yeah, you have to fight for the mic. You have to fight for the microphone, don't you? The real life headlines, would be, and this what I hear from other people is, but it's important to watch the news. That's the message I would get from loved ones. It's important to watch the news. Yes, it's also important for me to protect my own sanity and my own well-being. And if I'm the kind of person who absorbs bad news, then I'm not going to do, my dependents any favors by absorbing that and then spewing it out onto them, all in the name of keeping up with the news. And as I say, look, 40 years ago it was Beirut and the Troubles, and 80 years ago it was something a lot more serious. Unfortunately, I will never change the world at large. I can only change my own world. Someone Dakini says it frustrates me to read news with only men in it. I try to protect my mind and space by listening to music or moving my body. Yeah, absolutely. I hear you. I'm reading a book with audiobook actually, written by a man, and the only people he refers to. No, fair enough. He refers to a lot of women as well. Actually, when he's quoting people, he tends to quote heavily from men or male poets, and I'm kind of going, okay, this is a certain generation of author. He's in his 80s, and he's in a certain genre as well, and that might explain it. But I'm quite sensitive to it. I'm kind of noticing, God, where are all the women that that are creating? They're just not in his realm. So Mandakini says, I noticed your t-shirt and the earrings. Yes, it makes me look more fierce. Thank you very much. I mean, they're very big, and the forehead is quite big. I wouldn't wear this out in public, not for too long anyway. But the t-shirt is nice. It's Rock Rebel. It comes from Germany. It's Rock Rebel from EMP. That's kind of where I'm buying all of my t-shirts from these days. I totally want to hear all my parts, refusing to diminish myself. Oh, wow. And Acne, that's lovely. That's lovely, lovely, lovely. Yeah, trying to hear all the parts. I hope that this practice is helpful towards that. I find it incredibly helpful to hear all the different parts by using this tool. And 45 minutes once a week is probably not enough, but it's often the best I can do. And 45 minutes I can commit to, and we really do have to look at what's our different selves needing at the moment, and this 45 minutes is a great time to check in. It's almost like a therapy session, where all the different parts get to spew out. The quiet voices get to straighten up and, grab the microphone for a little while. Might only get it for a couple of seconds, but what they're saying is true for us. Mandakini says, agree with you on that. News today is made to trigger reaction. Yeah. There's very little background commentary or analysis. Yeah. Unless you're playing in the world of sports, PGA golf or soccer, or in our Irish case, Gaelic football. And that's always given at least 6 or 7 minutes, twice or 3 times a day on the television headlines. And an Irish actor, Brendan Gleeson, made a comment lately in a well-publicised interview. So he's doing a show here in Dublin for 3 weeks, and he said that if the art scene, or if the cultural scene in Ireland was given the same amount of time, or even, mentioned a little section at the end of the news bulletins as we do for sport, And it was very clever to go and draw the corollary with sport and say, every single night, 7 days a week, sport is given minimum 2 minutes, maximum 7. And if we did that for arts and culture, how much more developed and how much more open and accessible and permissible arts and culture would be. And that would ease mental health. They're always saying, get out and run and kick a ball and everything. That's all very well. But kicking a ball doesn't always do it for everybody. And sometimes we have to get up onto a stage or tell jokes at a stand-up or do cartwheels in a choreography, So creative life and arts and culture can yield the same, if not more than sports. And so kudos to Brendan Gleeson for saying that. And I was right behind him, Absolutely. Mandakini says, I feel that putting it on paper allows the parts to continue talking. Yeah. And I would agree with you on that, Mandakini. I see the pages often as a dialogue between me, maybe my ego, maybe myself, maybe my child, the different parts of you. And we all have different parts, my parts mightn't be yours and vice versa, but giving them airtime is vital and just allows them being heard and seen. And often it's like in meditation, a thought will keep coming back to you until such time as you acknowledge it, go, there's that thought. Yeah. And it floats away. And often we need to simply hear that voice of whatever part of us is upset, whatever part of us is annoyed. That's really, really useful, Once it's heard and seen, that's it. It goes off about its business, It'll come back in 3 weeks' time, but, it still means we can go off and live. Mandakini says, agreed. I read that comment from Brendan Gleeson. Yeah, I just scrolled past sports out of pure contrariness. Oh, Mandakini, you and I are cut from the same cloth, I'm afraid. I'm not saying that sport's not good. It is good. But why are we giving it so much love and so much attention, So I would buy a newspaper maybe once a week, and the sports section is like, it's just automatically either kindling or recycling, or it's put in a filing cabinet for things I need to wrap in 6 months' time, and there'll be a sports section. So when I need to wrap or protect something or cover something, I'll take the sports section out from February or last year or whatever. Someone scored a goal. Whoopity-doo. Whoopity-doo. I'm sure they had a great day that time, but I don't. Yeah, I would love to see if the local media here in Ireland do anything about Brendan's comments, because there's a lot of interest in this country for arts and culture. We have a vast array of talent, and that's been nurtured over years and years and years, and it's well documented. We're the land of saints and scholars and poets and God knows what else, playwrights and novelists. And in my town alone, we have so many actors, writers, playwrights, and what's the other thing? Musicians. Yeah, we have a lot of musicians here in this town and in this 5 or 10 kilometer radius, and they're active. They're working every day, paying their bills by this industry. So we're getting there. Anyway, look, it's 18 past the hour. Mandakini, I'm thinking of wrapping up, and anyone else who's on, I'm thinking of wrapping up. It was a really good session today. I found today to be really helpful. A lot of things came out, and I think what I'll probably do is over the weekend I'll pull this out and the little notes that I made up top to say look into X and Y and Z. I'm going to take those and give them a bit of time and love, you know. So that can be helpful. It all just depends on how deeply you want to go into the thing in question. A lot of the time it's hard, so I would always exercise caution, and I would advise you to exercise caution as well. Only go as deeply as you can and pull back for the rest of the time, because as I say, the paper is always there. It's free and it's easy and accessible. The temptation and the seduction is often that we feel we should stay there, or that if we stay there, we'll get to the answers. But also, if you stay there on the page, sometimes you go a wee bit insane. So you're the best judge of that. You're the best person to say, God, I really need a break from this, or no, I want to spend another 15 minutes on this, you know, because it'll always be there. My friends, take care. You spent 2 weeks in Trinity College, you lucky duxer. You lucky duxer. That's on my list, Mandakini. It's on my list. We're going to have to chat privately about that. What did you do? And, you know, I'm just being nosy, but no, I absolutely support you. And I'm so glad to hear that. And yeah, I think you told me about that actually before. I just forgot. Anyway, thanks, Mandakini, and anyone else tuning in. I hope that Morning Pages was great for you. My sincere thanks and appreciation for your time and commitment to this little community, and your time and commitment to yourself, to your all the different parts of yourself that came out this morning. I'm thrilled to do this with you, and I will see you next week. Okay, bye. Bye bye.